Good morning, beautiful, lovely human beings. It is January 8th, 2024. This is episode 40 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I am back home in Phoenix, Arizona after a lovely 5-day little mini tour that was super fun that I went on with comedian Jace Clay and his wife Caroline, who was gracious enough to drive us the entire road trip. So shout out to Caroline and to all of the spouses and significant others in the world who support and make sacrifices for your significant others' dreams and passions and help support them and be involved. I think that is just so crucial, that whatever it is you are involved in, that you partner up with somebody who, believes in you and wants you to have those things as well, and who also has a dream that you are able to support and working together on that. Although I'm probably the last person in the world who should be giving any sort of relationship advice, as I have been perennially single pretty much my entire adult life, except for a few sort of relationships here and there, but nothing really long term. But I do know that the couples who support each other and communicate and work together to help each other out and to grow together and thrive together seem to have healthy relationships. So that was super fun, doing that road trip. Man, trying to think of how many miles we traveled. I wonder if we hit 1,000. So anybody who wants to Google map this, we went from Phoenix, drove all the way almost to El Paso. We were in New Mexico, Mescalera, I think was the name of the town. Inn of the Mountain Gods is the name of the casino. So we drove from Phoenix to Inn of the Mountain Gods all the way up to Montrose, Colorado, and then Montrose, Colorado back down to Phoenix. And the drive from Colorado to Phoenix was 80% snow. The weather was abysmal, ice, rough snowstorms, just wretched weather. So, it was a little scary there. The roads were very slippery, and we were driving very cautiously. By we, I mean Caroline. She drove the entire way, which was great that she was happy to do that. Caroline, again, is the comedian Jace Clay's wife, and Jace was the other comedian. I unfortunately started to come down with a bit of a head cold. You can maybe hear that in my throat. So I'm trying to get through this podcast. Believe it or not, this is the second time I had to record this because I forgot to plug in the microphone, and I filmed the entire podcast not realizing that there was no sound. And so not only was there no sound, but I recording this on my phone. I had the USB plugged in, but I didn't have this mic cord plugged in, the actual XLR into the microphone. And so not only did I not have audio coming from the microphone, I also cut off the audio on my cell phone. So I had about a 20-minute podcast of static, which is too bad because I got into some deep stuff. But now it's almost 3 a.m. I have a cold. I'm exhausted. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to replicate what I did. So I guess it wasn't meant to be. But I'm really looking forward to these next couple of weeks. I don't have any out-of-town dates again until March. So I should be in Arizona for the next 6 or 7 weeks. And this weekend, I will be performing in Mesa, Arizona at the Jester's Improv Comedy Club. And then next week, I will be at JP's Comedy Club in Gilbert. And then the following weekend, I will be headlining at Vito's Italian Restaurant, also in Mesa, Arizona. So I will be looking forward to all of those shows right here in the Phoenix area. if you are around, you can check those out at my website, paulgreencomedy.com. So on the road trip, I tried to get as much work done as possible. I made a lot of edits to my website. I got a new logo design with some new logo colors. And so I spent a lot of time on the road actually tweaking my website to update the colors and the color scheme to reflect my new logo, which I really like. And I also got some new little set design pieces. So I'm going to start working on designing an actual podcast set so that I will be filming these in front of a live set instead of in front of the blue screen, which I crop out. And again, most of you are probably not watching this that closely anyway, or you're listening to it on Spotify or whatever. But if you ever hop over to the YouTube channel, Paul Green Comedy, then you can see what I am talking about. So I'm looking forward to getting that design. So one thing that I was talking about on the podcast that has no audio was the power of beliefs, and that there's been a lot of research on the power of belief, even if the source of what you're believing in isn't true. The most common thing to look at would just be like a placebo, right? A placebo effect, where you can take a sugar pill and yet your body, because you believe it, you believe that this pill is efficacious, that your body actually does get better. Something happens. There is a very real physiological response to the belief of taking this pill, and that it's going to help you feel better, and then you believe it's going to help you feel better, so you do feel better, and you actually do. Your body does go through the chemical process of healing. And this sort of phenomenon has been measured and studied in many different elements of life. And so I've really been trying to dive into, well, what am I believing? And can I adjust my beliefs and get a different result if I really truly believe, though, something different? And I'm thinking about, well, what is the result I'm seeking? I am seeking in my life to have an experience of a big break, quote unquote. Everybody talks about, anybody in Hollywood or who's been very successful, they talk about that big break, the first big role that they got that was maybe a risk for the studios because they weren't famous. Matthew McConaughey talks about that in his book, about how he got the lead role in A Time to Kill before he was really an established A-list comedian yet. Will Smith talks about that breaking into television, when he got Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Talks about the whole story behind that, how he met Quincy Jones and got this sort of impromptu audition at Quincy Jones' house at a birthday party, that sort of stuff. And there is something in my energy and in my dreams to have an experience like that, to have sort of a catalytic. Is that the past tense of catalyst? I know my mom is listening, and I'm going to get a write-up as to the proper grammar. But having a significant turning point event in my life, and me looking at my belief systems and also how I'm behaving in response to those beliefs, and how I can believe more powerfully and behave more powerfully. And I think the reason this has sort of been on my mind is I've sort of had to confront this idea that I think I've had a belief system throughout my life. First of all, the most limiting belief was that I never really believed that I could have an experience like that. I just didn't believe it. It's like, oh, well, other people get these cool lives and get these cool experiences, but I don't. That's not for me. They said love was only true in fairy tales. You know what I mean? Although it's not really love I'm seeking right now. So because I had that limiting belief that it just wasn't for me, then I felt that, well, if something big does happen in my life, then it's just pure luck. You know, it's the equivalent of me finding a silver dollar in the gutter and picking up and then going and buying a Wonka bar, and that Wonka bar happens to contain the last golden ticket, right? And then that golden ticket, I'm going to end up getting the factory and blah, 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 blah. And that's just not... That belief, I'm just fine. I'll put it this way. That belief is just less and less interesting to me and less powerful. How else do I word it? Well, I'll say the other belief that is now starting to become more influential in my life is, well, what if I can legitimately work for it and earn it? Why is that so mind-blowing? Well, you can see that it would be mind-blowing if I was raised, or if I don't want to put any blame on my parents, if I adapted a belief that the big successful sort of dream wasn't for me, then how else could it be? How else could it happen other than some just totally 1 in a trillion win the lottery type of experience that I didn't actually earn? And I think I adapted that belief as sort of a safety measure, because I didn't actually believe I had the capacity to earn it. Getting pretty deep here for a Monday morning, everybody. My gosh. So I have really been challenging my belief systems and trying to adapt a more powerful and effective belief that maybe I have a lot more influence over realizing this dream than just hoping to get really, really, really lucky. I mean, find a silver dollar in the grate, go buy a Wonka bar, and it happens to be the final golden ticket out of 1 billion Wonka bars, and the whole world is trying to find these golden tickets to get this once-in-a-lifetime shot. And then out of the 5 kids that get selected, Charlie just happens to kind of be a good kid and, doesn't sell out Willy Wonka's everlasting gobstopper. Can you all tell that I recently watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? I watched the new Wonka, with Timothy What's-His-Bucket, and, I thought it was good, but I didn't love it, and I was like, I want to go watch the original. It's been a long time, so I watched the original with Gene Wilder, which I absolutely love. So that's why that plot point is on my mind. So I am trying to believe more powerfully that I have more influence over this dream than just dumb luck, and I am seeking more and more to really put a lot more on the playing field. You know what I mean? The whole man in the arena speech that Brene Brown is pretty famous for quoting and sort of reintroducing to modern culture, even though it's a fairly old speech. And just going, can I put more on the battlefield here, and put more consistent effort, put myself out there more boldly and courageously, unapologetically and consistently. I think that's the big key for me, is consistency, because I've made huge stabs at things before. I'm going to do this every day, or I'm going to follow this goal, or I'm going to do this work every single day, and I'm blah, 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 and it doesn't seem to last very long. This podcast in and of itself is an example of that. Just why I set a goal of doing this daily for a year. Because if I can do this daily for a year, regardless of what outcome happens, that input would be a miracle for me. If I am able to put that sort of consistent daily work in a project like this. So that's where I am at, is looking at my belief systems, looking at how I behave in reference to those belief systems, looking at the result, how those beliefs are serving me, trying to detach from whether or not the belief is a placebo or not, and just looking at achieving a certain outcome and a certain result, and trying to let go of my limiting beliefs that it's not really possible for me to make that happen, which means I have to rely on some sort of one in a trillion probability lottery win in order for me to have the happy, successful, fulfilling life that I'm seeking. What if it isn't all dumb luck, and maybe some of it is smart luck? I don't know if that's a thing, but it made me laugh. It's not dumb luck, it's smart luck. So that's what I'm looking for, is a little bit of smart luck. I'm going to try to be very smart and very consistent and hardworking and put a lot of effort, and try to do it as intelligently and strategically as possible, while also really trying to be as authentic and true to myself and to my heart as possible. And then hope that if I do that with enough effort and smarts, that I will then be so fortunate as to obtain some smart luck. So that's what I am up to, everybody. I hope your dreams are going well, and that you are navigating the challenges associated with going for something big, and your belief systems and all of that, and that you are finding some fulfillment and joy in that journey. For anybody watching on YouTube, I would love it if you let me know what you're up to, what dreams you're seeking, what experiences you're having, the good, the bad, the ugly. If you are listening on Spotify, or just to the audio, if you want to hop over to my YouTube channel, Paul Green Comedy, I do post all of these podcasts live on YouTube. Well, not live, the recordings on YouTube. Love to hear from you. I hope you're all doing well, that you have a wonderful Monday morning. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. This has been episode 40 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, January 8th, 2024. Have a great Monday, and I will talk to you tomorrow.